Three police cruisers rolled onto my driveway just after sunrise, lights flashing wildly, while Karen stood on the sidewalk pointing at my front door as if she had finally caught a criminal. "Arrest him!" she screamed, voice shaking with outrage. "He stole from me!" I stepped outside half awake, completely stunned, wondering what twisted story she had invented overnight. Steal from her? I had never taken a single thing. The officers looked serious, my neighbors gathered quietly, and suddenly, my peaceful morning felt like a public trial. The strangest part? This chaos, this accusation, this humiliation began for one ridiculous reason. I refused to lend Karen money when she demanded it, and she decided revenge was easier than accepting the word no gracefully. When I first moved into the neighborhood, it felt like the kind of place people dream about. Quiet streets, trimmed gardens, children riding bikes at sunset, and neighbors who actually waved when you passed by. Mornings were peaceful, evenings were calm, and for a while, I genuinely believed I had found a little pocket of sanity in a noisy world. Then I met Karen. She was the HOA president, a woman with a polished smile that never reached her eyes, and a talent for turning tiny details into full-blown emergencies. She complained about mailbox colors, measured grass with a ruler, and handed out fines like confetti at a parade. Nothing escaped her attention, especially anything that gave her an excuse to feel powerful. Beneath her cheerful greeting was someone controlling, nosy, and strangely obsessed with authority. The entire neighborhood smiled politely around her, but everyone quietly understood the same thing. Trouble always followed Karen. And whenever she appeared, conversations ended, curtains twitched, smiles faded, and patience quietly disappeared overnight completely. One evening, just as I was settling in with coffee and enjoying the rare silence Karen usually disturbed, my phone buzzed with a message from her. There was no hello, no courtesy, no attempt at sounding human. It simply read, "I need $20,000. Send it today." I stared at the screen, honestly wondering whether it was a joke, a scam, or proof that Karen had finally lost touch with reality. I replied calmly, asking why she needed that much money so suddenly. Her answer came fast and sharp. She told me it was none of my business, that it was urgent, and that I should help because neighbors were supposed to support each other. The arrogance was unbelievable. Even so, I kept my composure and told her I could not lend $20,000, but if she truly needed help, I could offer a much smaller amount. Her response changed instantly from demanding to venomous. After a long pause, another text appeared, cold and deliberate. "You'll regret this." In that moment, something ugly quietly began. I didn't know her wounded pride was about to turn my peaceful life upside down completely. When Karen realized intimidation would not work, she turned the HOA into her personal revenge machine. Notices started appearing on my door almost daily. My trash can was 3 inches too far left. My mailbox leaned slightly. A harmless stain on my driveway was labeled hazardous. My lawn was supposedly too tall, and my holiday lights were somehow offensive. I ignored every ridiculous fine, which only made her angrier. Soon, she reported my car for illegal parking in my own driveway, tried scheduling a tow, and even smashed my mailbox, then blamed teenagers. She whispered rumors that I was hiding money, cheating on taxes, and running shady business deals. Neighbors began noticing her obsession, watching with equal parts disbelief and exhaustion. Yet Karen kept pushing, circling my house, photographing nonsense, and acting like a detective chasing imaginary crimes. What started as a petty annoyance became something darker, relentless, personal, and strangely manic. The whole neighborhood could feel it, that unsettling sense that Karen was no longer trying to punish me. She was trying to break me completely for daring to tell her no. And somehow that absurd campaign was only the beginning, because her next move would drag police, lawyers, and public humiliations straight onto my quiet front lawn one shocking morning before sunrise that changed everything forever in our street entirely. Then came the knock that changed everything. Early one morning, 2 police officers stood at my door with grim expressions and asked me to come inside. Karen had filed a formal report accusing me of fraud, theft, and suspicious financial activity, claiming I was running some elaborate scam from my home. For a brief moment, even I felt that cold sting of disbelief. But panic solves nothing. So I invited them in, sat down calmly, and brought out every record they asked for. Bank statements, tax filings, purchase receipts, and, most importantly, Karen's threatening messages demanding money. As they read through the texts and compared dates, their expressions shifted from concern to irritation. One officer actually shook his head, stunned that someone would weaponize the police over personal revenge. The fake HOA fines, the towing attempt, the rumors, and now this false report suddenly formed a clear pattern of harassment. Within minutes, Karen's story completely unraveled. The officers apologized for the intrusion, thanked me for cooperating, and assured me they would be speaking with her immediately about filing a knowingly false complaint. At that moment, I realized something powerful. Karen had pushed so far, so recklessly, that she had finally built the case that would destroy herself. And for the first time, the neighborhood watched her power crack in public, completely visibly. After the police left, I didn't wait for things to settle on their own. I contacted a lawyer that same day and laid everything on the table. Every text message Karen had sent, every fake HOA violation, every ridiculous fine, the towing attempt, the rumors, and now the false police report. My lawyer didn't even look surprised. He said cases like this always collapse under their own arrogance. We filed for harassment, defamation, and abuse of HOA authority, building a clear pattern of targeted behavior that couldn't be ignored or explained away. When the court date arrived, Karen walked in with the same confident expression she always wore in the neighborhood, like rules existed for everyone else but her. At first, she tried to defend herself, twisting words and claiming she was only protecting the community. But then the evidence started coming out one by one. The messages, the fines, the towing records, and even the police report she had filed were displayed in front of everyone. The judge's expression slowly shifted as the pattern became undeniable. Karen's voice started to crack, her confidence fading with every page reviewed. By the end, there was no argument left to make. The court ruled against her completely, issuing heavy fines, removing her authority within the HOA, and awarding damages for harassment. For the first time, Karen had no control, no power, and nowhere to hide in front of everyone watching. After the court ruling, the entire neighborhood felt like it could finally breathe again. Karen's authority within the HOA was stripped away, and the same people who once stayed silent around her now openly questioned how she was ever allowed to hold so much control in the first place. Her reputation collapsed almost overnight, and the confident image she used to project turned into something people whispered about instead of respected. A few weeks later, she quietly stepped back from the community, and eventually her house was listed, as if even she couldn't stand living under the weight of what she had created. For me, life slowly returned to what it used to be. Quiet mornings, peaceful evenings, and no more surprise fines waiting at my door. Sometimes I still think about how all of this started, how a simple refusal turned into a full-scale war of ego and entitlement. Because in the end, it really all came down to one moment. I refused to lend her money, and she chose destruction over acceptance. So I have to ask you, would you have helped Karen? Or would you have done exactly what I did and walked away? Let me know in the comments.